Hello everyone, welcome back to my podcast. I am Ian McCormick. Now I began feeling alarmed because I'd had two separate stings from these jellyfish. I broke the surface of the water, gasping for air, and lifted my head to look for the boat. The storm clouds were settling in and making everything dark. I could just make the boat out further down the reef. I put my arm behind my back to get it out of the water. I didn't want it to be stung again. Then I began to swim in the direction of the reef, trying to fight off the terror I was feeling. As I swam, I felt something slide over my back, and then another huge shock pulsed through my arm. Looking round, I saw tentacles falling off. I'd been stung by a third one. I put my flashlight back into the water to keep an eye on the reef, and to my horror, my flashlight beam went straight down through a soup of these jellyfish. I thought, if one of these hits my face, I don't think I'll ever get back to the boat. So I put the flashlight up near my face and swam for all I was worth. Finally, I made it back to the boat, where I desperately questioned the young boy in my best French and Creole, asking if he knew what the jellyfish were. He didn't know because he wasn't a diver. He just shook his head and pointed to my friend Simon in the water. So I had to get back into the water and swim over to him. I could see him underwater, so I flashed my light into his face to get his attention. He came up to the surface and I exclaimed to him, "I want to get out." I put my head into the water to swim back to the boat, and right in front of my face, there was another jellyfish surging at me. I had to choose. It was either going to hit my face or my arm. So I lifted my arm up and took another agonizing shock as I pushed it away. Then I struggled out onto the reef. 2 feet of water covered the actual reef. I stood there in my flippers and looked at my arm, which was by now swollen like a balloon, with lesions across the top of the skin, like burn blisters. It was as though I'd burnt it on the ring element of a stove right across where the tentacles had been dragged. As I was looking at it, my friend Simon came walking across the reef in his flippers towards me. He was wearing a full wetsuit, as they all did, because they were brought up in the tropics and the water felt cold to them. He looked at my arm, and then he looked at me. He asked breathlessly, "How many? How many times have you been stung?" I answered, 4, I think. He said, "Invisible? Was it transparent?" I replied, "Yeah, it looks invisible." Simon hung his head down and swore. He said, "1 sting and you're finished, just 1. He put his flashlight up to his face, and I could see written there the seriousness of the situation. I said, "Well, what am I doing with 4 of them on my arm then?" Simon was panicking, and I was panicking because he had been diving for years, and I trusted his knowledge of the sea world. "You've got to get to the hospital," he said. "Aller, vite." The main hospital was 15 miles away. It was the middle of the night, and I was half a mile out to sea on a reef. I could hear him say, "Go." But I felt paralyzed standing there. He was trying to get me back into the boat. As he dragged me in, I realized that my right arm was literally paralyzed, and I couldn't lift it up out of the water. At that point, as I was trying to drag my arm up out of the water into the boat, a 5th jellyfish swam across it and added another lesion to my already disfigured forearm. In my heart, I thought, what have I done to deserve this? Then I got a flashback of my sin. I knew instantly what I'd done wrong. There were plenty of things I had done to deserve this. You don't get away with anything. My 2 friends lifted the boat over the reef with me in it. It was ripping the bottom. It was a wooden boat, and the boat was their livelihood. So I knew the situation was very serious for them to be doing that. They lifted the boat over into the lagoon and were swimming, trying to push the boat to get it going. I said, "Come with me." But they replied, "No, it's too heavy. Get the young boy to take you ashore." So this young kid was pushing the boat to shore with a pole. Thanks for listening today. Please stay with me as I take you through that journey, one that's shaped my life and purpose ever since. See you tomorrow.